we've got Showtime JB3 LS.
Yep.
Okay, Showtime, I like your handle. Surprise Skip isn't close to his brother, says Showtime. It's pretty remarkable that he and his brother both rose to prominence in their respective fields.
That's true.
Okay, I've occasionally talked about this or kind of around this or over this, but have you met my brother?
I didn't meet your brother.
No, she's never met my brother.
Never met your
Okay.
brother.
I mean, look, it's pretty simple, and I won't bore you with this, but my home life growing up was pretty hellish because both my parents had big trouble with alcohol, and neither could be trusted, and I was the oldest, so everything that got experienced, I had to experience first.
Yep.
And yet, I wasn't a very good brother, I will admit it, in part because, speaking of having things in common, I had zero in common with my little brother. He's 2 years younger. And so we shared bunk beds for all the way up to 7th grade, I think. We shared, maybe 8th grade. We shared bunk beds. So I know him, you know, I couldn't help but
Right,
know
but
him.
you're kind of hard on you can't have a lot in common when you're young with your brother or sister.
Okay, but I was obsessed with
Well, you
sports
had
from day one,
your
but I was the
thing.
lone wolf. I was like the black
Right.
sheep in my family because everybody in my family cooked. They had cooking
Yeah,
backgrounds.
when your brother liked cooking.
And he loved cooking, and he loved a lot of things
Yeah.
I didn't love. He liked to create, he
Yeah,
liked
he's
ceramics, he
very
liked
artistic.
to paint, he was very artistic. He was thespian, he at school, he did everything I never
Right.
did. And so he also got inflicted with having to follow me up through grade
Yeah,
school
so
into
that
high
was-
school.
that's
And I
tough.
was a good student, and I worked hard at it, and I was probably more overachiever, but I'm pretty smart.
Right.
But my parents they never cared, they never asked. I would bring home through high school report cards that were straight A's because I only made 1 B in driver's education in high school. So I was the salutatorian of my class, the second in my class. But I would bring home these report cards, these slips with A,
Right.
because they have to sign them
Yeah,
so you
if
can
you-
take them
yeah.
back just so that your parents see your grades. They never said a word to me. There was no reward.
they
There was
didn't
no.
really care.
They just didn't care. So my brother and my sister, who was 7 years younger, had to come up through the ranks, and they would get teacher after
Yeah,
teacher would
that's
say,
terrible.
"Oh, you're Skip's little sister.
Right.
You're Skip's little brother."
You have to live up to
and
that.
and they
It's
got
terrible.
sick and tired of it, and I get that. And then the departure was, I won a full scholarship to Vanderbilt University out of the blue. It was like a God thing, and when I saw it, my mother left a note that night on the kitchen
Right,
table
that they
for me. I came in
called.
from baseball practice, and I saw area code 615, and I thought, God, I won the scholarship. I'm out of here.
Right.
And I accept, I go, and I knew it was like getting out of hell. And I left and never went back, okay? And I think my brother and sister, although I haven't really ever talked to them deeply about this, I think they feel like I left them in a
Well,
lurch.
I'm sure they did.
And I did,
mean,
and they had to
because
sort of scratch and claw
you
their
went on
way out
to
of
do your
it.
own thing, and they
Yeah.
were younger.
And they ended up
so-
taking my mother to AA
Yeah.
and saving her life, for which I will be forever grateful. She's not with us anymore. May she rest in peace. But my father was gone at age 49, just drank himself to death. So it's just stained. You know, the whole background is so stained and ugly that we just went our separate ways. I'm extremely proud of him. I always pray for him and for his health and happiness and his family. He's got a wife and a daughter who's now working in his restaurants, and I keep up, and I do. I'm like extremely proud, and
Yeah.
I'm proud of us, because if you could see that little house on 43rd Street that we came out of, 2-bedroom, 1-bath, you would sit back and say, with those two parents who didn't even finish high school, how did each of you in your respective fields go that far?
Right.
I don't know. It's miraculous, seriously.
is.
And I'm
It's
very,
very-
very proud of that.
It's really
And I do
amazing.
love my brother very much. I'm just not close. We've talked occasionally, and he called when there were the LA fires, which I appreciated greatly. And I said, well, let's stay in touch. And then I didn't, because I'm not sure what to say.
Maybe you should call him today.
Maybe I should call him. Maybe this is a
No
sign.
time like the present.
No, you're right.